So I'm thrilled to introduce her to you this evening.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana?
I'd like to first introduce you to Hannah Harton. She's our new coordinator for student engagement. She's from Macon, Missouri, so she's just here coming in. She used to work for the city of Macon. Brand new to higher ed, she's already hit the ground running with student activity. Very cool time. Then I also want to introduce David, academic records and testing specialist. David from state.
I'd like to introduce to you Tabitha Thompson. She is the new director at the Lake of the Ozarks campus. And she has recently came to us from a position in Lebanon, but lives in the Camden area. And so she's also hit the ground running, and she's going to be a rock star for us, I know. So Tabitha, welcome.
Thank you very much. I am very excited and thankful for the
Thank you.
She said, hello.
She said she's very glad to work at State Fair Community College, and we have an awesome board of trustees. I'm pretty sure that's what. All right, and Michael or Amy.
Yeah, Amy, I think.
Well, good evening. I am happy to introduce some new team members to State Fair Community College, the Learning Force, and our Commercial Driving Academy. We have our instructors, if you both want to stand. We've got Jean Borsowski and Forrest Bryden. They both joined full-time on July 16th, and they are full-time instructors for our Commercial Driving Academy program. Jean has been working with our students since May 1st. Was the first group of students that he was a contracted instructor. So he's already had a lot of good success with our students. They've completed the training program and they have passed their tests. And there's 2 more that are finishing up from this current class, and they're right on pace. So we're excited and looking forward to them achieving their licenses. And Forrest has just joined the team on July 16th as well, and he is working through training and will be getting his school bus driver endorsement very soon to be able to offer that for our Commercial Driving Academy program, as well as instruct our Class A CDL and other endorsements as well. And you may not have met Brent Hampy at a previous meeting. Brent joined the Learning Force and Commercial Driving Academy back in May and has started off as coordinator instructor and transitioned to director on July 1. So very excited to have his leadership with the program as well.
Welcome. What a great welcome to our team. We got a great group, so thank you very much. Did we miss anybody? You got everybody? You're all welcome to stay. I'm sure we have an exciting meeting ahead, or you're welcome to slip out. Yes.
Yeah, everybody here. David said productive.
Yeah.
Well, and welcome Jerry Greer. He feels like that this is home, so we're glad. Are you here kind of representing the retirees as well? So State Fair retirees, but of course, kind of that mainstay here at State Fair Community College. Okay, so if you'll take a look at the minutes for the June 30th, 2022 board meeting. And, okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, Keith, how about a warrant?
Essentially, the warrant for the final month of fiscal year 22 June. June is typically a heavy month as we finish up a lot of our bills. So it's our total disbursements for the month, $24.8 million, and a little over that. You can see the bulk of that was accounts payable. And we had a couple of caught up on our finish out our things, retirement plans, healthcare plans, all that for the fiscal year. One payment to pros for the Howard Workforce Innovation Center. payroll, income taxes, and utilities make up the bulk of it. So, more than $4,013,515.
That should be approved. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so we're going to now have an institutional report. Are you going to make? the
Well, I'd like to
introduction?
he needs no introduction, but I'll introduce our athletic director.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
I didn't tell him he was presenting today, so. Darren Pannier, our athletic director, he's going to report on some planning that the department has conducted, but he also has some impressive news to share about the academic success of our community.
First of all, thank you for your time. And second of all, I'd like to thank Lane McFell. He was a internship from University of Missouri and Darcy McFell's mother. And without his support and help, this document probably wouldn't be so completed on the timely manner it is. So as Dr. Biggs said, yes, this past July 1st, we were notified that we had 45 academic All-American student athletes, which is roughly 20% of our student athletes right now. 10 of those were 4.0 GPA students. And then first time ever since the school has been established, we had 4 teams to receive academic all teams, which when you combine the 3.0 GPA or higher. So the student athlete started in August and he or she had a hiccup 8 weeks and they dropped out. You still have to include their GPA into your team GPA. So with 4 sports, and that was men's cross country, baseball, softball, and women's basketball. So I have to tip my hat off to the coaches because that's not an easy task at our institution due to the fact that education is high standards here, and it should be. I'm all for it, and I've been applauding our faculty every year that our institution is our big difference in other junior colleges in the state of Missouri. I can tell you that firsthand because we have some student athletes transfer in from other junior colleges with a high GPA, and they don't leave with a high GPA here. We've had some that transferred out of our institution with a low GPA, and they end up academic All-Americans at their institution. So I applaud our instructors and our administration and board for our stellar academics here. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the strategic plan that we have in front of you. Probably you should have it. Again, this wouldn't happen without Lane McFell, for sure. The third page is our athletic mission statement. That has been there since I became AD in 1999. We didn't change that. But on page 4, we have some pillars that would talk about academic success. As a department, we're going to achieve a 2.7 GPA across the department. As well as raise our completion of AA and AS to 70% or higher in our department, as well as maintain a 75% minimum fall-to-fall retention rate. We are going to start working on our campus relationships as we encourage our student athletes to get involved with other organizations versus just their own sport, as well as our coaches are going to be involved with other organizations on campuses, theater, musicals, the DOMs. Our athletic department needs to get involved more and more. So our community relationships, as well as getting out in the community, as our student athletes, our athletic staff needs to get involved with organizations in the community, as well as our coaches need to be on one civic club. And as our athletic teams need to be engaged at least 2 community services events per semester. So we're going to paint the town blue, for instance, blue shirts and human bodies. So we're moving it forward. You know, we also talk about community. We have to start looking into strengthen our social media as well as our broadcasting. We broadcast basketball games right now. We're looking into broadcasting other home events, baseball, softball, soccer, etc. If you ever heard of a college soccer game on the radio, it's kind of unique, isn't it? It's very hard to pick up, but at least we're starting moving that direction. to get more knowledge and more support in our community. We also starting hopefully sooner than later, have an athletic capital campaign. Our retention is mainly due to, we have large rosters, and some of the retention is the lack of play they have during the certain particular sports. And if we have capability of having fields on campus, we could solve that question about retention, as well as build a larger athletic program where you have a varsity and junior varsity team to participate. So it's going to be a lot of work from our athletic department and also from the foundation. Thank you, Mary. But we're going to move the ball forward and hopefully get this completed sooner than later. If you have noticed, the front says 22-25, because the next AD, I did not want to pigeonhole them in this strategic plan, so he or she can have their own strategic plan in 2025, 2026. So this is a living document, and it's going to be added. Nothing's going to be deleted from it. We'll be keeping adding and updating things. There's goals on page 7. I don't want to bore you with it. But if you have questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain any question you have.
I think you set some very ambitious goals. As I was reading through the document, it's comprehensive and very aggressive in the goals that are being set.
That comes from being a coach for 32 years. Don't lose. I play in full court press. I'm very aggressive. I'll be honest with you, I am. I just don't know how else to work other than aggressive.
Ron, that's a pretty good quote right there.
But I appreciate that. I love goals. We're gonna work on it hard.
Anybody have any questions?
I will just say, Aaron, his team foundation, fantastic event on Monday. I know the press release went out. It was a fantastic event to raise money for athletics. So kudos to your team and the foundation.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of support in this room and a lot of support outside this room that made that event very, very special. We ended up with 89 teams at our State Fair Athletic Golf Tournament, which is the largest golf tournament outside of the Sedalia Country Club that hosts their own. So
$20,000, right? Am I got that number right? Is what you raised?
yeah, hopefully I'm looking more than that, but not everything's in the invoices, some people are slow, but some of us go, unfortunately. Imagine that. But no, it was lucrative. Lucrative. A lot of hard work from the foundation to make that run smoothly. The weather kind of cooperated just a little bit, made a little rain, but we needed rain. But everybody finished or started and finished. It wasn't too bad. Wasn't 100 degrees either, so.
Well, I appreciate Coach Kinnear's work and his team, and we have a competitive program. They're working on moving it from a competitive program to an elite program. We're especially proud of the academic progress of the students. I know the student athlete today explained someday he'll quit playing baseball, but he'll never lose his associate degree. And so that's an important thing for our student athletes. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you for your dedication. So we're looking at Sedalia campus electronic sign status report.
All right, well, we've had some challenges with our electronic signs, so I asked Brad just to give an update. This is just an informational item, no action, but kind of a heads up that we're working on a project.
So some of you may have noticed in passing by the sign that it's at times and periodically been dimmer than usual, or at times completely out. As I understand it, this predates me, but the sign is about 12 years old with a life expectancy of about half that. So we are fortunate that we have gotten as much use out of it as we have. But the problems and the technical issues that we have been having with the sign seem to be increasing in frequency. So more and more we are having to put in service desk tickets to send somebody out to reset it from IT. It's a very old sign, and the way it's connected and the interface on the back end is somewhat dated as well. So It's just becoming more and more of a problem. We are looking at a few options for replacing the sign. We have decided that as it becomes increasingly problematic, at some point it's going to be reaching the end of its life very soon and isn't really worth going out and continuing to reboot. So at that point at which it becomes a end of term, if you will, we will be putting in a request for facilities to remove the digital portion of the sign. It's important that you understand that the sign itself is structured with two pillars on it. On the top of the sign is the analog sign, which is a lighted sign that is transparent on our logo. So at night it appears to be lit. And then below that is the actual digital portion that is dated and will eventually soon need to be replaced. So we have taken a couple of measures to increase redundancy of what we're playing there on the sign. We also have an agreement with the 1665 sign, which is over on 16th Street in Limit, the one on the fairgrounds, so we can use that to post messages there as well. So just today, in fact, I noticed that when I logged into the sign, it had deleted messages that I had put in there previously. So it had went back to a much older state of messages that I had put in. So today was a recent, or the most recent problem that I encountered.
So we'll be coming back to the board with a recommendation in the future. And we're looking at different options, you know, where can we get the biggest bang for our buck and show off State Fair to the best possible ability we can.
Thank you.
All right, supplemental support under the American Rescue Plan. Please Keith, share about that.
I will say this was a last second addition to our agenda. And we apologize for that being added late, but to have an opportunity to accept a significant amount of money, we thought you'd like that opportunity even if it came late.
Yeah, so back in March, the Department of Education announced they were making available an additional $198 million in grants for supplemental support under the American Rescue Plan. These grants were automatic. They required applications from individual institutions of higher education, and we had to meet certain criteria for being able to apply for them. The criteria we met on was being effectively in a rural community and having had a decline in enrollment and over 50% of our student body being Pell eligible. So because of that, we could apply. We had to talk about what we might do. Anyway, so we applied. We actually applied for about 1.6 million of that. We were notified this week that we applied. We were notified this week that we were awarded $950,133 from SSARP. 50% of those funds, as with most of the funds we have, are to be given directly to students. So 475 that will be given directly to students. For the cost of attending and housing, anything related to being able to attend different community college. Asking and recommending the Board of Trustees authorize the President to accept the SSARP grant funds that have been awarded $950,133. So recommended the Board of Trustees authorize the President and the Vice President of Finance Administration to disperse those funds according to provisions of the American Rescue Plan of 2021. Motion to approve.
Second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. Okay, Keith, stay there. Additional funds to purchase property west of FFCC campus.
So it's recommended to the Board of Trustees approve an additional $1 million in State Fair Community College Reserve funds for the purchase of approximately 200 acres of land to the west of and adjacent to the current SFCC property boundary.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. All right, loan and lease payment schedules.
So by statute, every year the board has to reappropriate funds for the payment of annual obligations for leases and for long-term leases and loans. So this is what part of this is. We review the lease loans we have and the amount of money needs to be allocated to pay those. The Hacker Science and Allied Health Certificates of Participation with UMB is $600,900 for the year. You train Energy Equipment Lease Purchase Agreement at $459,174 for the year. Our first full payments for the Our Workforce Innovation Center at $539,926 for the year. Campus leases, Lake Ozark campus, you'll see there at $69,030. Our lease with them expires in end of November. We are currently discussing with them and waiting on them to give us a proposal for continuation of that lease beyond that. They have not responded so far, or have, but so they responded to us. So you see there the first 5 months at $69,030. Clayton campus, our new landlord there, you may remember, is now Golden Valley Hospital itself. The 197,828, the Clinton campus is the same enhancement for the last 2 or 3 years. They have been thanks to leave at that for the next 5 years. So on that great Clinton campus, Science Hall in Boonville. Yes, or is Ellen Group? Yeah, Science Hall in Boonville. That's our best deal at $25,400 annually. The city of Boonville. The Ellen Career Center and the Ellen School District is $30,000 a year. Our copiers throughout campus and also our large format printers in our print room are $49,439 for the year, and then mailing equipment $5,875 for the year. So I need your approval to reappropriate these amounts for payment of those loans and leases.
Motion to approve. Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Commercial insurance coverages.
The same holds true for commercial insurance to reappropriate those funds. Want to let you know that you'll see here, I ask you for approve the amount of commercial insurance renewal to Assured Partners Sedalia, Missouri, the amount of $415,783. I want to make sure that's no change. Technically, it's a slight change. Last year was $416,523, so it's roughly $800 less than last year. And we have a brand new $10 million building with about $4 million of equipment in on there. Just so you know, Assured Partners does bid our insurance coverage out every year. They let Cincinnati, who's had it, I think, for 20 years, know that. While we did not get anyone bidding on it this year, Philadelphia Insurance Company did make a motion they'd like to look at it next year. But Cincinnati came back very aggressive this year on their coverages. And I'm pretty sure it has to do with, they've had 20 years of very good claim experience. We take care of our buildings. Not had a tornado, but we take care of our buildings. Our loss ratio is very low. So I'm very happy that literally stayed exactly the same for last year with a whole new building put onto it, not an inexpensive one. So I want your approval for that amount of $415,783 for our commercial liability.
So moved.
Second.
Second one, and Darren's still here, so.
Hold on just a
Wait a
second.
minute.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign.
And I'll go on.
Medication. Yeah, you are.
You can see me a lot.
You're on a roll, Keith.
Keep it rolling.
You're 2 pages long.
The
Good.
next insurance coverage is our athletic insurance renewal. That's a specialty type of insurance. There aren't a lot of folks that actually cover that. Again, we've been with the Arthur J. Gallagher guys for several years out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. They too bid this out every year. There's two insurances we buy. Just so you know, one is basic medical insurance, which covers any accident up to $25,000. Your normal, anything above $25,000 is considered catastrophic insurance, and that's bid out separately as well. So there's 2 different insurance companies we have carrying these, but all through first agency. Total amount for this year for both those coverages is $46,916. Last year was $46,424, basically the same. But this year we've actually added 3 additional coverages that we are hoping will make Darren and his staff's life much easier. Give me an example of what those are. One is when recruits come to town, they'll be covered now by an insurance policy. First, before had this one worked out here as a recruit, tossed the baskets, double running, and been injured. We didn't have to cover that. We also have our coverage for what's called excess wear injuries. Typical athletic coverage only covers the instance if it occurs in a contact game type situation. Versus if you just been working out all day and it's just over time, your knee just got bad, but it didn't happen in an actual event. We added coverage for that as well, since there's a lot of issues happen that way. The last one we added coverage for was called an HMO PPO exemption. For instance, if a student had a HMO in Illinois, they got hurt, they tried to get coverage here, their HMO said, sorry, we're an HMO or PPO, you gotta go back to Illinois and take care of that. We're not covering here. We basically taken out an insurance solution that says, that's okay, you'll cover it at their HMO here, so they don't go back for the HMO exemption. So we added three issues that were causing fairness to have some pain over the years. We're able to get that in, and again, all that, at the same price there. So I felt, given what everything else is doing in the marketplace right now, I was extremely pleased with the competitiveness of the insurance quotes we got. So as your approval for the 46916 for the athletic insurance.
Motion to approve.
Your second?
This is secondary coverage rather than not primary.
It's the student's insurance.
Any questions or concerns, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right.
And we're gonna go buy some stuff now. Last week, we had a main stock line up here and give you a fairly long description of the National Science Foundation, the Fab Lab, what it's going to do, what she's doing it. So we're making our first purchase of the equipment for that. Actually, so we'll get through it in a minute, but it's recommended that the Board of Trustees accept sole source purchase of design service equipment and supplies for the Advanced Manufacturing Fab Lab from Palmer Hamilton of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, which we talked about last time, in the amount of $125,102.1. Actually, the funds for this come from a variety of sources, like many grants, we have matching monies as well. So for this 125, the amount of funding is 54% or $67,524 from the National Science Foundation grant. The NOAMP is helping out with $39,040. Foundation, area are helping out $11,736, and then we have put the remaining $1,600 in the operating budget. So that's a source of funds for the Fab Lab equipment. So recommend your approval for the 125-102.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Next, we met the instructors and the director for the driving academy, and we're going to up their game a little with the addition of a CDA simulator. Put that out to bid. Bid came in from Garage Simulation for $149,500. So it's recommended for the trustees to accept the bid for a CDA truck driving simulator from Garage Simulation of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Amount of $149,500. There's a bid in there, and we accepted A through E and G, so we didn't take everything in the bid. I'm supporting the CDL training. It's something they needed and will help us quite a bit. And with state-of-the-art equipment to meet the increased demand. Funding for this is, we're going to use some of our one-time funding we got from the state. That's $660,000. We're going to use a portion of that $149,500 of that as the source of funding for the simulator.
Entertain a motion?
Last question. Hey, Brent, have you used this or seen this?
We did. We went to Metropolitan College up in Independence, and several of us were on the simulator to look and see what we were buying.
So it is actually simulate being inside of a cab.
It is with all the motion that goes with riding in a truck, the grinding of the gears. It's very lifelike.
So it wasn't like old school when I was in high school, a simulator for driving a car. This is it's very
Technology is quite a bit.
cardboard box and so you really like
And
it.
we did. We did. I think it'll be a big help.
This, by having a simulator, will be able to increase enrollment.
I would think so.
Yes,
Plus,
and would give the options. At least if we can recruit students, it gives us the ability
yes.
to expand the program. Yeah.
I'll motion to approve it if I get to drive it too.
Oh, and if he doesn't, I don't know, we
Here's your license.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
And where will this be
I was
housed?
asked that question.
Right now, it's going to be in the classroom we're using now in Fielding.
So not too large for that area then?
No, about 12 by 12 is what's required.
Well, I've never seen the one for the truck driving, but I have been somewhere where we've seen it for ships. And oh my gosh, it's just like, yeah, I mean, you're there. You can get seasick on that one, but so I think that's exciting for our school and our students to have that.
And we mentioned real quick, if I can ask a question, we're taking items A through E and G. Is it easy to add additional items down the road? Like that doesn't, it's just like an add-on, I guess, plug and play type of thing?
We didn't see the priority being in those items that we struck out, that we saw the most opportunity in the others, so we had an opportunity to save on budget by reducing those.
But down the road, if we want to add it, that's not hard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
We'll let Dean Ross talk a little bit about the next item before you give your approval for it. So, Commissioner Scott, the next item.
Yes, the next item is a collaborative welding robot. It's a type of robot, collaborative robot. And typically we think about our robots being in a cell. You know, they're in a cage operating by themselves, and there's not human interaction other than the actual program. But a collaborative robot works in the cell with the person. So this is very new technology. There's actually a welder will take a hold of the arms, put it in a learning mode, and move it through the motions that the robot needs to take. Drags down a couple icons and it's up and going. It's to make welders much more productive, especially around large weldments and hazardous weldments. And, we're working with Lincoln, who manufactures the power source in Fanning. Of course, we're a Fanning Certification Center. This is so new on the technology that we'll be working at developing some of the curriculum and procedures and processes to be certified. So it's a very important addition. We think it's going to not only make welders more productive, but in many cases, it'll allow welders to stay in the industry longer and reduce repetitive motion injuries. We've had some demonstrations, videos with our Center for Excellence group, and that's where most of the inquiries come from. You know, we were expecting production questions, but people are curious about the reduction in repetitive motion injuries. We get a lot of questions from HR. So this is some of the latest technology. We're thinking we're one of the first schools in the region to have this technology, but as Greg been suggested, we're one of the first schools in the nation to have it. So we're being progressive and pushing industry in this example.
So does much of industry already use this, or is this still a very small percentage of industry?
It's more around right now around the Great Lakes area. You know, they've got a progressive industrial base up there, and that's where most of those are being sold right now. So we'll be pushing them out into this area. We've already had some interest from business and industry, you know, referencing, knowing that we have this technology coming.
No questions for him? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We did receive 2 bids on this one. So it's recommended the board of trustees accept the bid for Tuesday, Topher Clark Collaborative Welding Systems from Lindy Gas Equipment in Sedalia, Missouri, the amount of $174,900. Further equipping the OHB leading provider of training for students and partners. Funding for this one will be the MOEXCEL 2 grants that we received.
Entertained motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Justin, Tom, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, Dr. Bates, your very, very first report as our president. Welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. And we gave me goosebumps there, even thinking about that. But I was just observing from this chair, it's a lot easier being president than it is vice president. Look, Keith did all the work. And I do want to compliment Keith and the team that contributed all this. They make it look easy. They describe it in minutes, but it's hours and hours of work that they put in behind that. So thanks, Keith, and the rest for that. I have a relative short report, and my intent is at the meeting is not to give a long report, to have people come in and give reports in their areas. So you'll see multiple reports at the next board meeting of people in the areas that you'd rather hear from them, the people that are making things happen, rather than me. So that's kind of the intent. Hope you're not disappointed in a short report, especially today. I do want to call your attention to page 6 of the board agenda. There is an error in the calendar, and the State Fair Community College Foundation annual meeting listed as August 19th is August 25th. And Mary has sent an invitation to all of you for that meeting, a calendar invite for that meeting. We would like to know if you're able to attend a week before the event or so. You can contact Mary's office, or you contact Lisa, and just so we know who else coming and we can prepare for that. Any questions about that? Secondly, I'd like to introduce Justin O'Neill, and he's kind of a standing attendee here to report on our building projects. He's going to give an update on the Olin Howard Workforce Innovation Center.
Yep. So we've reached a major milestone in that construction of that project. We have reached substantial completion, which means it's 90+% complete. We actually met that goal on July 6th. That gives the contractor 30 days to wrap up kind of the punch list. We've walked through the building several times with them and the architects. And we are waiting on a few items. We had to have some warranty work done on a couple pieces of equipment. So those may take a little bit longer than those 30 days. And we're waiting on there's some, at the end of the project, we started hitting some of the delays in supplies. And there was some electrical components that are missing for some of the feature walls, just the decorative stuff in the front lobby. And we're waiting on that stuff to get shipped in so that can be completed. We had that kind of hidden during the grand opening, if you notice, so that, but it actually is still that same way. We're waiting for those parts to get here. So we've met that. So we've got only about, it's roughly around $600,000 worth of expenses left in that. This next month, you'll probably see the change order coming just for things that we added and deleted and that sort of thing. And we'll have the whole list and describe all that stuff out to you guys ahead of time. And then so we can start wrapping up that project. And as they finish those things, then once they're done, we will issue their retainage to them. We'll have you guys officially accept the building, and the warranty will begin as well too.
All right, breathing a sigh of relief, right?
Right. Yep.
Issuing that project.
The lock showed up this afternoon. That was something we've been waiting for because we've been doing some temporary stuff over there, so that'll be changed. Most of the equipment's up there. We've got a few boosts to put in, but we'll be ready to go through that call.
Any questions for Justin?
What are you building next?
We've done with.
Parking lot.
Yes, parking lots. Well, it would stop raining. So every time we start paving, it decides to start raining. So I guess if we need rain, somebody just tell us, we'll start paving. So we were supposed to start on Monday, paving the back, and there was a little bit of concrete to finish. Of course, that did not happen. We're waiting right now. If it will dry up and stop raining, we should get started next week. We'll actually have them start on Clarendon Road and work their way in so that everything is ready for the fairgrounds. Because late next week, the campers will start coming in, so we've got to get that entrance done. We want to get it done and not do it while they're trying to come in.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, campus has been bustling this week with Camp Blue Sky, Gears, Rivets, Cogs, Mechanical Art. It's really welcome to see all of the kids on campus after a 2-year hiatus due to COVID. There's 240 campers on campus from preschool to 9th grade. We're co-sponsors of the event with the Dom Museum and the Cooney Endowment for the Arts. This really couldn't happen without that Cooney Endowment for the Arts. So I want to say thank you to them and the director of the event, Kirsten Patrick, and co-chairs Libet Thompson and Kim Allen. The fine and performing arts are one of the jewels in our crown here at State Fair Community College. And when I see all these kiddos out bursting with enthusiasm and talent and creativity, the future of the arts in the community look really strong. So it's exciting. Enrollment remains a challenge to us. We're on the final stretch. Many colleges and universities across the country are facing those enrollment challenges. However, I'm happy to report we made some significant gains in the last 2 weeks. And our faculty and staff across the institution are working extremely hard to get interested students admitted and enrolled in classes. So I'd like to especially recognize Sarah Alkire, who is our Associate Dean of Enrollment Management. She's sort of leading the charge, but it really is the whole team. Every person in this room is probably involved in it in some way. It takes that whole team. People have rolled up their sleeves and done things outside of their area of expertise to help out the team and get that enrollment. And the reason why we do it, it's not because of numbers. It's because we know what impact a community college has on people. It's people's lives. It's transformational, and we want to impact as many people as we can. So it's still not too late to enroll. If you go to our website, www.sfccmo.edu, and you can do the admissions application. There's financial aid available. The fast track program, the state program targeting adults getting education above 25. That program has kind of loosened up some of its restrictions. It's a great program for those non-traditional students coming back and getting certification and training, both on the credit side and some non-credit programs as well. So there's great opportunities that we urge people to take advantage of. That's my report.
Amy mentioned the other day in our MAC meeting that we're about to have an open house during the enrollment. Is that right? That might be something nice to.
That's in October
It's
26th.
in October. It's in October. I'm sorry. Never mind. It's for later meeting.
This last week we did the extended hours. Is that-
Yes, we're in the extended hours mode right now.
This was the first week.
Yes, that's when, yeah, we started this week. That will go up into enrollment at the start of the semester.
Good first week, or
Yeah, so far so good. We're promoting out, still getting the message out, but we have had students come in the evening.
very good.
What you have to do with extended hours is commit to it and stay with it. And so that's what we've talked about as a team. If we're going to do it, we need to commit to it and stick with it. If we keep changing, people don't know when we're open. So we're committed to extended hours serving our community.
Thank you, Dr. Bates. All right, Keith, how about a financial report?
The investment report. I want to remind everybody, the investment report is a moment in time. They have to be the end of the fiscal year. That has some flux to it, but as you'll see, we have about 9.2 million invested in various treasury bills and CDs. Many of these were done, back last year. Then we have another substantial amount of money within our demand deposit, which was purposely as some of our investments have matured. We've elected to keep them in cash for a couple of reasons. One, we know we have some cash needs coming up. So purposely this, and two, with the continually increase in the Fed funds rate, our cash deposits are actually earning a fairly attractive rate. Back to 1.57 years now, 0.75% higher than it was when the report was done. End of the year is typically a time when we have a fair amount of cash reserves. Right now versus this, we've already reduced those cash reserves, gone down actually quite a bit. A couple reasons. One, we paid a lot of bills up front. Our contract for additional housing is due and payable on July 1. Our contract with insurance you saw is due and payable on July 1. Also, we had some money that the state forwarded to us for a remote sales grant, about $2 million there, that we had not spent at that point yet, but they dispersed it out to all the colleges. Since then, we've spent a lot of that as some of the things you've been improving lately. So the amount here is obviously says a one-time ever amount. But Really the point of it is, we are very strong financially right now. It allows us to do some things we've been talking about doing, to be done, and to assist with some of the projects we have going on in other places. So we have sufficient funds to meet any obligations we have for the foreseeable future. The next one is the financial report. It is obviously the last month of the year, so you're seeing a full year of the financial report here. Looking at it, overall, our revenue, I'm actually fairly pleased with the revenue. Our tuition fees ended up not far behind what we budgeted. Everything else had some normal variations there. There was a little bit of work we were anticipating with some of our customers in the work and learning force. Some of that's starting to hit now. Didn't come in quite what we thought in the year, but doing very well now. So that's going fine. So overall, and of course, some of the state appropriations we deferred till this year. So I'd say the revenue that we have is I'm actually very happy with it. Our expenses, when revenue slows a little, expenses don't. They're not as slow, but expenses still came in a little bit under where we thought. Some of that's because some of the deferred maintenance we didn't do. One thing I do want to make point to and understand that our overall revenues over expenditures was lower than I was hoping for, lower than budgeted. Some of that's because we actually spent some money in tuning technology on upgrading some of our classrooms. That the revenue for that's coming from the ARPA funds, which go into a restricted budget, but yet the expense is here because it's an instructional type expense. So, it kind of goes with different funds. But we did this year, even after in the first year of 21, we did some technology. We went back this year and added a lot more technology. A lot more rooms have the enhanced microphones that are in this room. They have the enhanced cameras that are tracking with people. We had the money, so we went back and made sure those rooms were upgraded. So that's a little bit of where the differential comes in our net. But overall, again, we did it for the right reasons, and we had some of those funds in other funds doing that. So overall, I feel like we really did a pretty good job staying within the budget. Any other questions? That's that.
Thank you so much. Yes, next item on the agenda is board discussion. I might mention that you have a book. Tell you kind of a little bit about how I asked Dr. Bates if he recorded that for each of us. Cooksey, who happens to be a Moberly Board of Trustee at Moberly Community College, and he is also the president of ACCT. So to have a Missouri, trustee to then be able to be the president, and he's not in any way, I don't think, really associated with the book, but he just said, Patty, and so he said to the MCCA, Patty, you need to make sure that every one of your board members have one of these. And so it is in its second edition. So I know that, things that we can read and can help us, in particular with news, but also us that have been on the board for a while. It's always good. So that's how that particular book came about. So thank you, Dr. Bates and Lisa, for ordering that for us.
We're going to have book reports.
Okay.
And Justin volunteered to review the first 5 chapters.
Good.
Tim was asking for an audio copy.
No, good one.
Yeah, so that's how the book came about. Couple of things that have come up in thoughts about, because we changed our time for our meeting to 5:30. We used to have at 3 o'clock, we'd have work session, and then at 4 we'd have the board meeting. So as we look to when we need to have a work session, what are your thoughts? Do you have, is 4:30 a time before the board meeting at 5:30 an option for us?
I think it makes sense that work sessions be scheduled no earlier than 5. We're going to stick with 5:30. The whole idea was that trustees who are employed would be able to work their full employment hours. And if we start scheduling work sessions before work schedules come to an end, we're defeating the whole purpose of going to 5:30 with our meetings.
My concern would be 30 minutes is pretty fast, goes pretty fast, if we have any.
But I don't think, I don't think, I think if we have a work session, we can publicize that we're gonna start at 6 rather than 5:30. And the whole thing, and what's to be done is that we're to be transparent in what we do. And if we're transparent in when we're meeting, that we should be able to accommodate work sessions with, and still make sure everybody's able to attend.
Is it not board policy though that we have it set when it is and the time? You know, so to make those changes, I think then that's also not good for us to say, okay, well, today it's gonna be.
I'll have to check on that, Patty, but I don't think we changed policy for this, did we? At
Yes.
the last meeting we
Yes,
did?
yeah,
Okay.
because it is policy when we have a meeting. So we will need to check on that.
Yeah, I think we do need to make sure that work sessions accommodate the
Yeah,
intent.
well, how would that work? And I understand, you know, that 5:30 was when we
Are
said
you
that.
asking me?
Yeah, particularly those of you who work.
Well, as I shared with the board before, I could have been here too. But it's those times that doesn't work out that well. It just so happened that court ended early today and everything was done by 2. However, when we have a late day, and I have no idea, the judge doesn't know what's going to happen. So it's kind of a hit and miss. So the 5:30 works well for me because it removes a lot of the potential problems, but it's not a cure-all. There might still be those instances where I have to travel out of state or whatever the case may be. So to hinge this all on Tim Carr probably would not be the best idea. But I appreciate you doing that. However, normally, as a general rule, I've been here for a little over a year. I've missed missed one, been late once or twice maybe. So
4:30 or later is fine for me.
I'll echo that.
I make my own schedule. I can do
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Four times good.
Yeah.
I can accommodate that.
Yeah.
I make this as a
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah, I think that we have
Schedule around
to,
it.
I think we have to, when our meetings are set for 5:30 and that we have to be ready at 5:30 for the board, and we'll double check that to make sure, because I think that that's policy that we set. I pulled those out. I usually have a notebook full and pull that out. Anyway, but if it's something that, you know, you feel like that at 4:30 would work. Now, if we don't need a lot of time, then maybe 5 is when you do it. But I just know that I worry that 30 minutes can go just pretty fast.
We want to balance the opportunity to explore the issues we're exploring,
Right.
but we want to be efficient in our discussion
Right.
and, not lengthen it when we have to.
So it sounds like we need to take board policy before we can really set this as a
Yeah,
precedent.
yeah.
It's good input. What about an off Thursday? I know some of you had conflicts.
I have a regular third Thursday.
Third Thursday? Are there any other Thursday,
And so the first Thursday.
first and third?
So are you
Does
thinking
anybody
like,
have conflicts with the second Thursday?
are you thinking like doing work sessions separate? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, we had a work session. I'm just exploring that as an option.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can be
I'll try to be as
flexible.
accommodating as I can be in the future.
I mean, with enough advance, I think it's, obviously Tim runs into that he doesn't know week to week, but I think with the right accommodation. I think
actually,
we
it's
can make
months
it.
and months. but
Yeah, whatever, yeah, you know what I mean, yeah.
So that's kind of maybe an option for the second item, which is the, a retreat or a larger kind of event. We have some in-depth topics that we need to talk about, like strategic planning, the budget, some, topics that do take more time. In the past, we've gone off-site, we spent a full day on those kind of things, but, that may not be an option now, which is fine. So we could potentially go to an off, the second Thursday or a Saturday or something like that. So we wanted to get your input on those longer kind of retreat time periods.
I think with plenty of notice. For me anyway.
As far as the work session before our meeting, I was not knowing how long they might take, because each individual work session could be long, could be short. I think 4:30 would be sufficient for me. I think I can make that happen. So if that's what everyone's waiting on, basically.
Well, I think, yeah, so actually we're talking about two different things, because the work sessions, like the information that he needs, so that we can.
We're talking about like
and
the
then-
Legos are flashed.
Yeah, so that, we've got a few things, new board members on, to have some kind of board training, and it's not always good, again, for those of us that have been on. We have our lawyer maybe come and just some different things, so that give you some thoughts.
Appreciate the feedback.
So yeah, as soon as you can find a date then that you want to do a fall retreat, be sure and
We'll work on
reach out to us. Yeah. Now, ACCT, which is the national for the Association of Community College Trustees, is October 26th through the 29th in New York. And then the spring one.
Is in the spring.
Then the spring. But we know there's a legislative one. There'll be a legislative one too. So that's usually October 26th through 29th. Now, we would have a board meeting.
It's a Wednesday to Saturday.
Yes, yes.
It's quite a thing.
So we need to kind of, if that's something that we feel like that we want to attend, it also would be board meeting time. So then we have to change a board meeting. There was an opportunity, I think, in October possibly that our lawyer could come during that time, but said that she's flexible. So what are your thoughts? Anybody want to plan to go to New York, to ACCT for the fall?
The early bird deadline for that is August 19th.
Yeah.
So you may or may not have thought about that, but we really would like to know in the next, week or so.
Prior to the 19th.
Let Lisa know, so she'll be coordinating the reservations and travel and all of that. And it does take some time to do all that.
I won't be able to attend that one. Achieving Freedom will be having a Missouri graduation in the multi-purpose building, so. But I will be interested in the spring.
Legislative, yeah. Usually, I want to say second week of February, but I haven't really looked that date up. Anybody else thinking about it, on a possibility? So
Or
if
you
we
thinking
do,
you're gonna go back?
well, if somebody else does,
Yeah.
But
So it
certainly,
looks like that one is in New York, the 26th to the 29th, and then the other one you're talking about is the National Legislative Summit
Yes.
in Washington DC,
Uh-huh.
February 5th to the 8th.
February 5th. Okay.
That's one you like to attend, right?
I'd be more interested, like, going to Washington rather than going to New York.
So,
Same. Alrighty. Well, I think we just need to make sure that we get our, early registration will be important
So Justin.
to get that in. Are you-
yeah, I think it would probably be good to have representation, at least to attend. Well, obviously we got two of them in February. So if October works for you, you and I can go in October.
Okay, so if that's the case, we'll need to be looking at an alternate date for our board meeting, because that would be during that time.
Our board meeting is the 27th.
Mhm. So we can look at that date, maybe in
We'll
the
bring
August board
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll bring a
So be
recommendation.
looking at your calendars to know what October looks like, because that, if we do end up saying that we're going, then we'll have to make that change.
So speaking of that, in October, our lawyer, Kate Nash, has offered to do a board professional development and policy development session. If that's what if you're interested in some policy development work. She has offered that if you have specific policies that you would like to address, then she could prepare a presentation on those specific policies with recommendations. For example, we talked about the hiring process. process and the boards and how that works. She could be prepared to address that with the board and make some recommendations on that, if that's something. So I'm mentioning that to say, if you have some specific things that you're thinking about.
I think the Department of Education has done some things with the Title IX that we had I think our policy was drafted with to comply with regulations and follow certain regulations. Those regulations, I believe, have been revoked. And so that's probably something that we need to update on.
We've been talking, Dean Avelio and I, he's aware of that, he's following those changes, and, I think it's not all finalized, those regulations, so when they are, we're planning on looping in with Kate, but that'd be wonderful to have. I talked to Kate previously just about some general Title IX discussion with the board, just to have the board, it's such an important issue. So that policy on that could be.
So is that like a work session in October, or we need a date for that, or is there a date for that?
Well, she is available. She is very flexible in October.
So we need to set a date for that.
Originally, we thought about doing a work session attached to the board meeting, but it looks like we're moving the board meeting. So we'll probably think about that in the same context, so.
I think we also like that goes with the hiring process. Why we have one employee, but we're having to approve employment contracts. That really doesn't make sense.
So we got time to put some thoughts on this.
Yeah, so let me know if you have other, just general ideas or concerns or thoughts, and I'll give her a heads up and she'll prepare for that. She's very good. She did a session with the board a couple of years ago, and I think it was, Jerry remembers that, I'm sure. I think Patty was there as well. It was very well received, so looking forward to that.
Okay, the only thing that I had, and I told that to Dr. Bates, we need to do this president inauguration sometime. And I think when we did Dr. Anderson's, that it was in October on a Sunday. So as we get, we're already into, yeah, so as we get into, or did we decide September? September, I apologize, September, got October on my mind. September. So I told them to look at the calendar and kind of see, what the campus is doing, but we need to then look at our calendars and see, what Sunday, because we'll want, community to be involved with that, as well as students and faculty and board. So
we have kind of need that date locked in pretty quick.
that's what I told.
If you have any bad dates in
Yeah.
September or Sunday in September to avoid, just let Lisa know. And I'm okay with avoiding the whole thing, I'm rocking and rolling now.
Too bad.
Patty's insisting. So.
I think we have to do it, yeah. So if you have a bad date on a Sunday, let us know so that we can, and then I know you've got to look at the calendar for the college, to see what's going on as well. So what other things do you have for board discussion? Not? All right, so it looks like our next regular board meeting is August 25th. So that's of course on a Thursday at 5:30. And it'll be determined whether or not we need to have a work session prior to that, depending on what's on the agenda. Anything else before I entertain a motion to, and also look down below, you've got a lot of different things that are dates that are on our paper that kind of tell us, don't forget to tell Mary about August 25th. The different things going on, get those on your calendar. Appreciate Brent has put the mission and the vision on our board packet so that we are reminded every time we look, what's our mission, what's our vision. Keeps it front foremost. Thank you all very much for that. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion. Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
You look like you're gonna say something.
Oh, I was wondering if you wanted to update
update on this.
Thank you all for coming. I know it's late, but we tried to make it go fast.
Not that bad.
That, contact.